Kia ora, and welcome to our second to last episode of In the Groove for 2024. The penultimate step in our series comes in collaboration with onvinyl.co.nz, that fantastic place located in the palm of your hand that deals in new and used vinyl and sends it straight to your door for your oral consumption. Head there immediately for all of your Christmas gifts and be in to win a Martin DX Johnny Cash guitar. Every album you buy gives you an entry, and we'll be drawing one lucky name out of the hat before Christmas. So, our December theme is all-time favourites. The ATF, the Desert Island Disc, call it what you will. All I knew was that I couldn't pass up a chance to drone on about this one. It's the debut album from 90s nerd rock legends Weezer. Affectionately known as the Blue Album, the self-titled slice of rock history features 10 songs with not a dud in earshot. It's a perfectly concocted record, and it blew my tiny mind in 1995 and set me on the course that winds up right here and now banging on about it. My lord, that means that this record is 30 years old. What the flip? How can it still sound so vibrant, immediate and shiny, new after all of these years? The songs, my friend, the songs are just so darn good, with lyrics that are a delicate balance of sincerity and humour, and chord structures that you've heard before, but with Rivers Cuomo's expressively relaxed tenor melodies wafting aloft, they offer something new. Let's rewind quickly. In 1995, my older brother Tim gave me a tape. On one side, it had the debut album from Foo Fighters, and on the other, it had this, an album from a group I had never heard of before. But as my brother was extremely influential in my musical upbringing, I was keen to listen to whatever he was proffering. Up until this point, I'd been raised on a steady diet, of Nirvana, Jane's Addiction, U2, Pearl Jam, and whatever I had heard on my dubbed VHS copies of 411 skateboard movies. This new band was well within my wheelhouse, and I was hooked. I must have played that tape to death. I'm sure I've owned multiple CD copies. It was the soundtrack to my youth. Say It Ain't So was the first song I played in my high school band, and the closing song on the album Only in Dreams remains the gold standard in sprawling rock crescendos. Weezer were formed in 1992 in LA, and the original lineup consisted of Rivers Cuomo, Jason Cropper, Matt Sharp, and Patrick Wilson. After playing local shows and recording a demo tape, the group was signed to DGC Records in June 1993. During August of '94, the band started recording album sessions at Electric Ladyland Studios in New York with producer Rick Ocasek, the principal songwriter and singer in the Cars. A young, ambitious band mixed with a studio can be a ruthless concoction, and sadly, guitarist Jason Cropper didn't make it through to the end of the sessions. A new guitarist was quickly enlisted in the shape of Brian Bell, but it was decided that Rivers would single-handedly record all of the guitar parts himself, and as the story goes, he would knock these parts out in one day. The production on the album is watertight, and the group never strays from the tried and true palette of drums, bass, guitars, and vocals, aside from some harmonica on a couple of the songs. The drums are dry and come with minimal reverb. Patrick Wilson has long been a drumming inspiration for me, as I'm sure he is for many others, with his simple grooves, tasteful snare fills, and cymbal accents. The bass blends with the rhythm guitars beautifully to create one monolith of a guitar. And if Thor was to ever throw down that hammer of his and pick up a Les Paul, it would sound just like the guitars on The World Has Turned and Left Me Here. The guitar sound across the record, I would say, is quintessentially 90s rock. Many years have I spent looking for that hallowed pedal, trying to recreate that saturated sound. This was a futile effort, as I've since learned that there was near a pedal in sight in 99% of the album. During this early period of the band, Rivers was not a pedal guy at all, and would prefer to go straight into his Mesa Boogie Mark I head. The Mesa Boogie Mark I is a unique amplifier, and it allows a guitarist to go through 2 gain stages before hitting the master volume, giving oodles of sustain and crunchy distorted tones at lower volumes. Rivers' live acts of choice in the 90s was a Warmoth Stratocaster with 2 humbuckers. This guitar doesn't feature on the record. The legendary tones that you hear on record are a mixture of a few different guitars provided by Alcacer, a 60s Fender Jaguar, a Gibson Les Paul Special double cut, and a Gibson Les Paul Jr. were all used on the record. No humbuckers? Denied! With the Blue Album, Weezer quickly established themselves as anti-rock guitar nerd gods of the 90s. The songs are lathered with power chords, and the band is tuned down half a step, which gives the sound extra oomph. I wasn't going to waste anybody's time by picking out a few songs and saying you should check these out. I mean, come on. If you're interested in guitars at all, even in the slightest, you've already heard this album, right? Maybe you have a rich, long relationship with the record like I do, so please share those stories in the comments below. For me, this album was a portal that took me away from my small town upbringing and made me think of a different place altogether. It solidified my musical trajectory. It encouraged me to ravage local op shops in search of that perfect striped business shirt. I think it saved me in some weird way, and you know, I just find it hard to single out one album when posed the question of what is your ATF. But today, my friends, I think that it's the Blue Album by Weezer. See you next week for one more episode of In the Groove, and thanks for watching.